All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm using a slightly different microphone, so hopefully that doesn't. My voice is going to sound different. Oh well. This should be a relatively short video. We're re-going over the way phrases work, just simply because of the fact that I noticed certain students didn't quite get it, and there's break. It will be a good refresher either way. It shouldn't be that difficult either way. So once again, just with noun adjectives. So what I want you to pay specific attention to, because I think what a lot of people had confusion on, is I want you to pay attention to the endings. And specifically what I want you to do is I want you to think, okay, so this ends in, well, let's just use one example. This ends in a, so that means that, and it's like puella parva. Well, what could that be? Well, puella is feminine, so that means, and so what's the feminine ending which has a in it? Oh, well, that's nominative singular. So from the ending, that it's nominative singular, which means that you translate it as the small girl. Similarly, if we were going to masculine, remember there are some weird masculine words like vir or puer, which just end in r. So puer parvus, this would still be nominative singular, even though the usual nominative singular for the masculine is the us. And so nominative singular masculine, the small boy. And then opidum parvum, same thing, but just with neuter. The other thing that I want to remind everyone, because I did see a couple mistakes, is that with the noun adjective phrase, you switch them around. So with Latin, this is the noun, girl, and then this is the adjective, small. So, but you don't say the girl small, you say the small girl. But then we get to slightly different, so it's not just simply nominative singular, and this is where the noun plus adjective phrases start to get a little more difficult. So you have puelle parve, so the ae ending for feminine nouns and adjectives. It could be genitive singular, which if it were genitive singular, then you would translate it as of the small girl. It could also be dative singular, so it could be, to the small girl, or it could also be nominative plural, in which case you would have the small girls. Again, as usual, any of these is fine, especially if it's if you're just going through the if you're only going through the phrase part of the worksheet, then it's fine. You can translate these as you think makes the most sense, or as your preferred one. Then genitive plural, puellarum parvarum, of the small girls. So arum and aurum are pretty indicative specifically of genitive plural. Then puellis parvis, to the small girls, or by, with, or from the small girls. So this could be either dative or ablative plural. There are other examples of this sort of thing, but you have to keep it. Basically what I want you to do is I want you to keep in mind all of the endings. I want you to pay special attention to the endings. The reason is also because of this. So with the noun, like any noun plus a genitive noun, this more or less equals like the, and then whatever the translation of the noun is, and then of the, and then whatever the translation of the genitive noun is. So this translates into stuff like this. So servus domini. So servus, the us, indicates nominative singular. So we know for a fact that servus is the main noun of the phrase. Then domini, so the servant of the master, as you can see there. And then servo domini, well, servo, the o ending right here, that can be either like dative singular or ablative singular, and so you can translate it as either. I decided to translate it as dative. Remember, dative is the to or for translation, so you put to or for in front of the translation of dative, you put of in front of the translation of genitive, and then I'd like you to put by, with, or from if there's not a preposition in a translation for an ablative case word. So the o ending for masculine and neuter nouns indicates either a dative or an ablative ending. So servo domini, to the servant of the master. So instead of servus domini, servo domini. And notice it's still domini both times because it's only one master and it has to be genitive. Genitive, it has a specific ending to it. Then servi domini. So servi is either the genitive singular or the nominative plural. So if it was genitive singular, it would be of the servant of the master, which you could use in a sentence, but I think it just makes more sense to say the servants of the master. And then, but you can also combine the two. So you can have a noun plus adjective one, in which case you would have servus bonus, and then domini. Make sure that you translate the noun plus adjective phrase first. So it wouldn't be the servant of the master is good, or the servant of the good master, or anything like that. No, if it was servus boni domini, then it would be the servant of the good master, but it's servus bonus. So you can tell that it's the good servant rather than the good master because of the fact that this us right here is the same us that goes right there. So that's that. I want you to keep in mind that I believe at least once or twice I used the word eius, so E-I-U-S, on the worksheet. Keep in mind that this means his, hers, or its. So it's just the genitive form of the third person pronoun. So like basically just the genitive form of he, she, and it. So his, hers, or its. So just keep that in mind. I put like the meus, mea, meum, and then the tuus, tua, tuum, and the suus, sua, suum. Those function more or less along the lines of just every single other adjective. So just, again, most of this shouldn't be new, it should just be reminders. But if it is new, then it's good that we're going over it. Then you have preposition plus ablative or accusative, plus an ablative or accusative noun. So as I've said before, whether or not it's accusative or ablative will depend almost entirely upon which preposition it is. So if you have a preposition like circum or ad, with those two prepositions, and there are others like prope or per or stuff like that, you will always have an accusative case ending for words like circum and ad. So these types of prepositions. This does not. Now, the oppidum doesn't mean anything the fact that this is accusative doesn't mean anything in particular. The only thing the only reason for why it's accusative, it's not because it's the direct object. So I know the accusative usually means the direct object, or in other words, the thing that the verb is like acting on, but that is not the case when the accusative case word is next to a preposition. The only reason for why it's accusative rather than anything else is simply because of the fact that it is the thing that is you're around in this case. So circum means around, so around the city. You couldn't say circum oppido because that wouldn't make any sense. That would be like saying they am having fun rather than they are. It would sound just as weird to a Roman if you were to say circum oppido. Similarly, it's ad oppidum, never ad oppido. But then you have other prepositions like cum or sine, which you need to have cum oppido. You need to have the o at the end, which means that this is in the ablative case. And then, but then you have other prepositions like in, where it means something different depending on whether or not the word that follows is in the accusative case or if it's in the ablative case. So if it's in the accusative case, this always, let's get rid of the underline, but this always means into. So into the city is what that always will mean. And then you have, but then in oppido, so in oppidum means into the city. So in went plus accusative means into. But if you just have in plus an ablative, so in plus oppido, then it would just mean in as we would use the word in. So in the city. So in the one sense, you have people that are going into the city. The other sense, you have someone who is in the city. And then, of course, with these, you can, as with this sentence, you can sort of combine all these together. And I want to just sort of give you an order of operations. So if there is a prepositional phrase, you want to translate the preposition first, and then translate whatever it's attached to. Then if you have a noun plus adjective phrase, you translate that next, and then you translate the genitive last. So in the great city of the master, or in the great city near the small house. Either way, good luck. Hope you guys have